I suppose. Good thing to do. I'll open my dashboard. Oh. Cool tweets. Cool. I think that's enough social promotion. Hey Tyreek, how are you, man? So real quick, just to get things going like I normally do. Hey, I'm Joshua. Today is May 12th, 2017, and today I'm working on Delver. Today is a bonus stream. I'm kind of streaming in the middle of my workday. I'm in between contract work right now, so I'm working on Delver pretty much full time until I figure out what's my next move. So I'm just gonna kind of hang out and make some art, and you folks are welcome just to hang out with me. Hey Chad. Glad to hear you're doing good, Tyreek. Hey, Cinecron, welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me fire up some stuff because I am dreading that Windows is wanting to restart. It keeps popping up these little windows saying, "Hey, hey, that creators update thing you've heard about. It's we're pulling on your machine." Then it said, "Hey, it's downloaded. You want to restart now?" I'm like, "No, don't restart now." So we'll see if it actually respects my choices. But yeah, today working on Delver, working on the dungeon area refresh. I made a change. I think that Chad accepted the pull request this morning that allows the gen info objects to decorate walls, which I'm super psyched about. Yeah, so creators update is actually Chad's commenting on creators update is the creators update is good if you want 3D MS Paint. Yeah, I know. I have a buddy who works on the on the Windows team, and there's a story behind that, but I don't think I got the whole story, but it sounds interesting. Let me see. So let's fire open that. Let's fire open Blender because yeah, doing 3D stuff also. Yeah, so I guess I'll show you what I'm working on and kind of my thought processes behind it. Cool. So this is kind of the new dungeon theme I'm working on, and I hit play. And you notice all these chairs populate into the environment, and that was just me testing out the decorator or the gen info objects get placed. You can place them on the floors, you can place them on the ceilings, and previously you could place them on the walls, but the wall it got placed on, so like the chair that appeared on this wall here, on this pillar, was actually used to be determined by this tile here and not actually the tile that the wall belongs to. So I refactored that. Chad had some feedback for me. We got that straightened out, and it's in. So you can say that I think the current rule is that chairs spawn on this texture here, I believe. So whenever you see that texture, there should be a chair there. There's also, I think it does a check before it places the chair to make sure that it's not going to overlap stuff. So that's fun. I've been playing around with these new decorative arches. Again, it's similar to some of the stuff I had done before. Like if you recall, I had made let's go like in my original props section. I had like these kind of crazy modular pieces, and they look all right. It's just they're kind of hard to use, especially since you have to place them down like individually. So what I'm trying to do is maybe have not as complex assets and trying to get it so that the computer can place them for us. The idea is that you can make an empty room and the computer should decorate it to a reasonable degree of polish. Hey, let me see. Hey, Hawaii Beach. Cool, yeah. It's an old microphone. I decided to get it out and actually start using it. I bought it back in 2006 when I needed to record some audio for a game I was working on. And I guess I was rummaging through, I was cleaning up my office and I found it. And I figured, why not use it for my stream? And then I got an OBS and I tweaked some settings, and hopefully my voice sounds okay. Yeah, cool. Hey, Thermal Lamphead. Hey, Dakota. Thanks for popping by, folks. Yeah, so the thought is that this is much easier to use. I probably will have to see. So typically, meshes use their origin as the main point of collision. So if I were to make this solid, say true, it starts from the center of the arch, which is right there, which is problematic because then you can't walk through the arch. So what I'm gonna have to do is something. Let's say this is not solid, but I can add. Is it area? I think areas. Yeah, collision area. So this is just a simple collision volume, which can be useful if you want the player not to walk into things. And that's all it really is just a collision volume. So what I can do is I can align this up with here, and it should be 5 by 125, and I think it's 1.5 in height. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, I think that's correct. Again, also I'm trying to build the new assets with not as much detail. I'm trying to keep a larger like atomic size. So right now like a 1 unit in Delver is 32 by 32 pixels. That's what's 1 world unit. So I'm trying to. This is a half a world unit, and maybe I'll go down to a quarter because then I'm down to 8 pixels wide, and that's not a lot of room for putting detail. Also, let me slide. So why? Let me just go ahead and duplicate this and slide it over here. So I should have now. If I clip into here, I should see there's 1 and 2 collision volumes, and yep, that now behaves like I'd expect, which is cool. So now I need to kind of approximate this arch, and that's the problem, is because we use axis-aligned bounding boxes. That it's going to be kind of it's not going to be a nice smooth collision on there, but we'll see. 175 is okay. Drag another copy there. Okay. Cool. Hey, Adaponkin. Why are you trying commands? I think I do have a MooBot, but it's a very specialized MooBot that just promotes me. It doesn't have any other commands besides just like info on like what I'm doing and the game I'm working on. That's kind of that's as smart as my little MooBot gets. But I think I've only been up just a few minutes. 9 according to Twitch. I'm just trying to position these collision volumes so that they make sense. I can also, up here you can go toggle collision boxes. I can kind of see how they're working out. Maybe this one can go higher, maybe 0.5. Nope, that's the wrong dimension. 0, 1, 2, 5. And here maybe 0.5, so I think that should be the... Oh. There we go. Real quick, let me... I think this is a group? Nope. It is not a group. Oh well. And this is just my kind of like a prototype level, trying to get pieces put together, trying to figure out what the theme is going to be like. Place for me to test out my art. This probably isn't final, but it's kind of the direction I'm heading right now. I can slide this. Just trying to get, again, a rough approximation of what this arch's collision should look like. Wider. Too wide. I think it's also okay if our bounding boxes overlap. I don't think that adversely affects collision. Let me see how that feels. I mean, it looks okay-ish. There's again, these are approximations. I just don't want to use more collision boxes than I actually have to. Cool. Let me see. Blast that. They're not leaving decals on the mesh at all. Weird. Maybe that's just by design. I pop in up here. Stuck in the ceiling. That means it's still going to be like five collision volumes per door. Which is it's I don't know. I'm not sure. Here we go. Let's see if I can turn this into a group and call it good. Then maybe make a prefab out of it. So let's grab that one and that one. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, and then grab the mesh. 6, right click, group together. Select the group, right click to JSON, and that should give me JSON breakdown of this. So Control A, Control C. Gotcha. Okay, Chad, no worries. I don't think it's that big a deal. I think the ungroup. You can get this mesh again. It is not dynamic. Okay, so let me go to. Oh man. Visual Studio Code. Yeah, I'm just wanting an editor. Let me just real quick just clean up this JSON. So JSON. Paste it in here. Process. Cool. Let me copy that. Let me go to entities. This is where you define prefabs. And I'm wondering, like, we have one giant like monolithic entities.dat. I can't remember. Do we pull these in from anywhere? Would it make sense for each theme to define it individually, or I'm just going to probably keep adding here. Simple sets. So make dungeon sets. Okay, and that should make I need to name this though. This is door arch. Let me save that. And let me see if the editor now even runs. If I don't define my JSON correctly, it will not load in the entities, and that will be bad. Place entity, dungeon set, door arch. Yep. So that's what I thought might happen. So what I need to do is I need to go to this last position property and just get rid of it. And now, now when I place it, it should be exactly where I think it ought to be. So entity, dungeon sets, door arch. It seems to be offset, so maybe I do have to fiddle a little bit with the positioning there. Yeah, because I think it might define the group relative to the first entity I selected, which would be this collision volume here. So let me go back here and undo that. I think I can either change this or I can change like all their chords here. What's the easier? Let me just try just fiddling with this. So I think it's the let me just drop one in and just move it around. Set store arch. It's going to be over here. So let me grab it. Can I grab it? It's out of the. Oh no, it's okay. Let me try putting it way over here then. That's arch. Put it up here. Let me move it on the Y. X property I don't need, but the Y, something like 0.5. See how that works out. Huh. So that was, so I did need to move it on the X. Okay. Looks like the chords in the room and the chords in the local entity space are different than I think they are. Okay. Right click, place entity. So basically, I want to make sure this is correct so that if I'm not right. Also, happy Friday, everybody. What do you folks have planned for the weekend? Looks like I still need to move it over a quarter of a unit. Prefab. There we go. Now that pops in exactly where I want it to. Or do I want to also align it? I think maybe centered is okay. I know the gen info placer will kind of nicely place it against the wall. I guess I can test. Let's do this. This. Bring it up big enough so I can do stuff with it. Cool. Marker torch. Marker just so I can see what I'm doing. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty dark up here. Another nice thing you'll notice too is Chad recently changed how the cursor selection works. So you can actually now just point at the tile that you want to select. Previously, you had to put your mouse down below at the actual origin plane to get it to select the tile, but now you can just point at what you want. And that's nice. It is a good improvement. Also, yeah, so I have my gen info thing wired up to always drop in chairs on a certain hopefully that's a close enough approximation. Yeah, it always drops in chairs on a certain tile, a wall tile, so we're getting lots of chairs. But that's the thought, is you can make a pretty basic room, and that the decorator will do a lot of work. Hey, Thermal Avid, people at work interested too. Nice, interesting. Hey, hey, coworkers. I guess you're kind of like my coworkers now too. Nosy coworkers. Yeah, so that's working out all right. I'm also hoping to use not only as archways, but you can like here you can slam them up against a wall, and you can get, you know, just like a kind of like an alcove effect, you know, which is, see, like that was beautiful, right? It had little vines growing and stuff. Again, just trying to figure out multiple uses for all this stuff. So let me go ahead and open up my my test level under test directory, surprisingly. Okay, now let me go ahead and just replace all the doors in here. I think right now they are just they're static meshes with no collision on them, which is okay. I mean, I'm just kind of doing like look development, or whatever you call it. So place prefab dungeon set door arch, and then I can grab my door arch and I can kind of park it right there and make a copy for this side. Now here's the big thing. I think there might be an issue with might be an issue with turning these bounding boxes. Well, I'm curious to see how that behaves. So let me move it over here to the center of the room so it's easy to select. Let me turn on collision boxes. Like I said, it doesn't visualize them for groups, so that's interesting. So or prefabs maybe. Let me toggle them back off. Let me select this. Let me hit T to flip it around. And let me just see if I can slam this right into this wall. It looks like it correctly updated the collision volumes, but we'll see. Actually, I think it might be off. I think it's okay, actually. Cool. Yeah, so the prefab with the collision volumes seem to work okay. Let me just go ahead and copy paste these around the level. Again, just trying to make simple props that folks can use to make levels quickly. I was doing the whole, grab this one. You can duplicate things by holding down the Alt key, and you can snap things to the grid by holding down Control. So that's how I'm kind of quickly blocking out this stuff. And here I intentionally put this broken texture here just to kind of test things out, which kind of works out okay. Cool. Again, it's still throwing chairs in wherever it sees that texture on the wall, so that's a good sign. I want to actually use it to do like architectural elements, so like maybe like little small alcoves or bookcases, or maybe even like crates and barrels and stuff that we have. Like we have destructibles, so we can kind of have it line those up against the wall, which would be nice. You have to be kind of mindful not to. I've tried to have it so that if it places an object, it won't place it where it will collide with stuff, but it could still potentially block these hallways. So you can just drop in like let's see. I tested it and it was working where you could just right click, place an area that says it's a spawn blocker, and with a spawn blocker they won't spawn on top of those, so you can just use like a spawn blocker to say this hallway, don't put any gen info stuff in there. So now when we play, we shouldn't see any chairs ever get created here. So Seems to be working. Let me delete the spawn blocker and then hit play. And yeah, we get chairs back in here. So that's a way you can flag areas as don't put stuff in there, and to kind of prevent it from creating impassable terrain. That is a problem with procedural generation, is like ensuring connectivity of your levels. Cool. Bye door. Yeah, so I'm liking this new architecture element. I might just kind of prototype some stuff out and just kind of see where we go from there. I've also put these big, I like these big wooden beams for like these ceiling kind of rafters or braces. Again, kind of just trying to embrace the larger scale. These are half unit by half unit, I guess, pieces, and I think it looks nice. It gives it a nice big chunky feel. Some of the previous wooden beams we have in the game are pretty narrow, and I don't know. I'm trying to not get too fine in detail. I'm trying to start with the large detail elements and work my way down. Thank you, Bluestone. Yeah, again, I'm hoping just to be able to make it really easy, just to kind of make a big selection and just let the decorator do a lot of work. Okay, so let's minimize this. Let's go over and look at Blender. Cool. All right. So yeah, so I want to figure out a way to. I'm thinking just like small like window or alcove elements I can just slam on the walls and make some details. So let me just kind of quickly prototype one of those up. Actually, I might even have. If I look at my old dungeon mesh props, I have a lot of stuff. I like this lancet style arch. Obviously, this one's way too big, but maybe something like that. In fact, maybe I'll just white box it. Where do I even care? There shouldn't be any texture. Let me just try something like this. Go. So Shift A. Mesh plane. Let's align this plane to view, and let's change the radius of a plane to half a unit. Let's move it up by half a unit, because I want these to be able to sit like nicely within. Because see, this arch actually takes up 2 units. Like it straddles. It's designed to straddle a 1 unit wide hallway really nicely, but it itself is 2 units wide. So I'm going to try to make something that lives nicely within just the 1 unit size, so that way if they spawn next to each other, they still look okay. Maybe 1 unit by a half a unit tall. Let me just isolate this and just kind of worry about this in its lonesome. So edit mode, edge, extrude by Z5. Okay. Grab these vertexes, bevel them. That's not how lancet arches work, though. Lancet arches they have a particular geometry to them. I think it's something like, let me. Again, if you try MooBot commands, my MooBot only knows a certain number of fixed set commands. It's not a standard MooBot. Cursor is selected, Shift A. Let's add a circle. Align this circle to view. Let's make it 16 verts. Don't need that high. Maybe 32 is okay. I'm only gonna use a small subsection of this over here. Cursor is selected. And again, add another circle, align to view, and then we should have this should create a lancet, I believe, or something that approximates one. Okay. Select those, hide it. Select all these verts here, delete them. Delete those verts. This one that's over here by its lonesome. Get rid of that. Let's select these two, merge them at the center, and then let's pull them back down so we get a nice. In fact, I could probably just merge all these at last. Let's move this up, maybe snap it to this vertex. That's way beyond the zero. I want it to be only half this high, so maybe if I scale it, it won't look stupid. We'll see. Scale about the cursor. Cool. So what are we gonna do? Let's delete these verts. Let's snap this to the grid. I go edge, and then just to Control X, delete that edge. Remove doubles. Okay. Edge loop. Face a W, remove doubles. Now we should have a lancet shaped plane. It might be too many verts here on the side. But it doesn't matter. Right now I'm just trying to prototype something to see what it looks like. Let's extrude this by 2.5. That may work. Yeah, it's the same depth as that guy, because it's just going to be slammed up against the wall. But let me real quick. Let me just unwrap it. Let me give it just a really terrible unwrap. Like I could actually maybe delete these faces because they won't ever be seen. Then one, you project from view. Then I'll just kind of like over here. Let me flip over to multi-texture so we can. Yeah, there we go. I'll try to get it somewhat close to scale. I know it should roughly fit inside this arch, and I have this arch's texture right here. So I can just kind of ballpark it. Again, if you keep trying move-out commands, they're not going to work. Just so you know, you're warned. Okay, cool. Now that's good enough for now. Yep. So let's export this. So file, export. Delver uses the wavefront OBJ file format. I want to just say, oh, I need to also rename that. I can rename the prefab. That'll be fine. So selection only, because we don't want to export the whole scene. I don't care about the materials. Don't write those, but we do need to triangulate faces, and we do need to include UVs. I'm going to call this, I guess, test alcove.obj. Export. Okay, now over here, I should be able to just start seeing what this looks like. If I right-click, go to Entity, Misc Meshes, Tree, and then I can select the tree and the new mesh file. So Chad added a new picker here. So if you click this, it'll bring up a list of things it found. So I should have meshes, and it should say dungeon, cool, and then test alcove. That's what I want. And here, generate. No, where does this live? Textures. I can just type it in. We're still working on this feature. It's not quite ready yet. So it should be textures/dungeon. It's funny that the meshes worked fine and this one is not. Meshes. There we go. just turn that, adjust the collision a little bit. Oop, wrong one. Cool. Close enough. And now I can just slam this against a wall because that's kind of intended how it's going to be. There we go. And then I'll probably, again, I'm thinking about having a similar treatment here where there's a little bit of recess. And then maybe having another prefab that nests inside of it that can be a list of random prefabs. So it could be like a fountain, or it could be, who knows. But I want to have maybe the wall decorator place these. Let me just try that. The thing is I need to adjust the origin of this, because if you notice the collision box, the origin is here, so the collision box extends both ways. So just real quick, I need to go in a top-down view, edit mode. I can just get here. Let me just change my snap to increment and move it back until it's nicely situated. And I have my grid set up, so it should be, yeah. One of these grid ticks, you can't see them, but basically one grid mark per pixel, so it can kind of help keep me honest about my pixel sizes here. So let me go back and just re-export this. So file, export, OBJ. It should keep all this stuff, so I can just re-export the test alcove. I think I might need to, let me go into play mode and hit K and refresh. Sometimes this works. Sometimes I have to exit it altogether. It shouldn't have to though, but sometimes for meshes I do. For textures I certainly don't. Let me just reopen this. So file. Actually, let me close it. Just relaunch the editor. Okay, file open. Levels test new dungeon theme load. Over here, place entity misc meshes. Maybe the well is a little bit smaller and easy to work with than the tree. So meshes are dungeon test alcove. Texture file, textures / dungeon / meshes.png. Go. Turn this against a wall. Oh, too far into the wall. Bluestone says, do you think that Blender is the best 3D modeling software? I don't know. 3D modeling software is a hard thing to do because 3D modeling is just a complicated topic. I think it's probably one of the best free pieces of 3D modeling software out there. I've used it for long enough now that it's just the way I prefer to work. Just I've rewired my brain, so it works fine enough for me. Cool. That's in. Let me right click to JSON. Grab this. See, and I think what I can do now is in my gen info here. Let me find the correct one. So dungeon info, then chair on a wall. That uses the wall text. So what I can do is I can just replace this prefab entity with my mesh entity. This should just slam those things everywhere, except for I think the tabs are off. It's gonna bother me. So this should slam our little alcoves all over the place. Let's see. Levels. Go. Now when I hit play, we should have alcoves everywhere. Okay, so the rotation is off. Yeah. Okay, This should be easily fixed. Actually, I think I could even leave the editor running. I think I could just change this. So let me just clear out this rotation property. Or let me just set the Z rotation to 0. So I may need to end up rotating it. We'll see. Now if I hit play, there we go. It's still off on the. Oh yeah, the rotation's what really goofs up the collision volumes here. Using the T command doesn't, but rotating them does, or is it just off for everything? What else? I need to tweak my gin info just a little bit. Oh, it's that far off the wall because of the way the collision is. I need to flip the, I believe, the X and the Y dimensions on that. Because there we go, yeah, because the gin info placer wants them to nestle nicely up against the wall. And this one shouldn't be getting placed. It should be checking the collision on this. But there's no collision on that. I thought there was collisions on this. Oh, I guess I must not have saved. Eesh. Okay, let me. So these aren't my prefabs. So let me just real quickly prefab, dungeon set, door arch. There we go. Can't believe I forgot to save, but luckily I hadn't lost that much progress. Let's grab this here. This one over here. This one. File save. There we go. Now let's test it out. Yeah, it's doing something weird with the collision. It shouldn't. Weird. Some of these have collision volumes and some don't. That's super weird. Maybe it's the logic on my spawning. Because it's spawning the mesh, but it's not spawning the collision. Really curious. Maybe it treats. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how it does that. We're getting somewhat closer. Take care, Hawaii Beach. Yeah, see again, it looks like it's spawning these parts individually, and then it's not spawning the. Let me try debugging this. It should be implemented here. Let's decorate wall with cup here, and then this is where we check. So don't overlap geo. Super curious. Bug. Actually, I think I can just do a very simple room. I think I can do maybe just a 2x2 room. This should be simply enough to go in. So hit play. Should be boxed in. And yeah, it looks like not. Yeah, so it looks like some get placed first and have collision, and some arbitrarily don't have collision. Like none of the collision volumes overlap. Okay. At a breakpoint here, and let's hit play and see what happens. So the thing it's trying to lay down is a model. Yeah, so this might be. So I thought, let me go to my call stack. So up here, copy list, just a model. And it is solid. Let me step through and see what it's doing. All the entities, there's no entities. Static entities. So after the first one places, that should be fine. And this one shouldn't be entities. There should be one static entity. Yep. So then just gonna check an intersection. It does intersect. Maybe I'm not properly cleaning this up. I thought setting something to is active and not adding it to the scene should have been enough. Is active is false. Return sprite. Oh, I'm still adding it. I'm thinking maybe to fix this, what I ought to do is in this method, instead of returning the sprite, return null if I can't find if it's not good. So let's try that. Null. Actually, let me think another way I could do it is I think I have this add entity here. I can just do a check to see if it's active. If that might be better. Not e.is active. So if it's not active, just return. That might be the way to do it. Interesting. So let me just make a quick little room. There we go. Yeah. Nice. Cool. So yeah, so basically I was adding non-active entities then, and Chad was pointing out that the triangles still get rendered. It's just the actual entity behind them is cleaned up. Yeah. Again, this is kind of just gray boxing, and of course real levels aren't going to have this many, but this was a good test to make sure that they don't intersect stuff. So now if I open up my my test level, they should not intersect themselves, and they should no longer intersect like these wood beams or the door frames. Hopefully, it's still intersecting that door frame, and it is solid. Intersect. Let's see if they intersect this wood beam anymore. It doesn't appear to, but they intersect the prefab group. Which would be nice to get straightened out. Yeah, I think these also have too high of a level of detail. I need to probably knock them down a little bit. Maybe even push them further into the wall, I'm not sure. Yeah, but it looks like they're not placing on torches. Oh, this one's placed on a torch. The torches really don't have a collision volume to them, though. Hmm. I wonder if it'd also be better if these things were set further back into the wall, but I'm trying to make them hollow so I can put stuff inside them. Just talking out loud here. Dungeon set. Oh, I don't have a prefab. I just have the gen info thing set up for it. Let me just see what's going on with this collision here. On debug, I'm not in debug. So here, up to there, and debug. I'll open. This is going to be interesting. Let me not open that. Let me just do this. Let me place in a door arch and test that out. It's a prefab. It is a dungeon set door arch. Slam it against the wall. Hit play. And break. So entities. I think they should be actually technically non-collidable entities. Yeah, it's a prefab. So step into. So E is our prefab, and it does look like it's. How big is this bounding box for it though? It's EBB. It's tiny, yeah. Yeah, it looks like this collision box for the prefab isn't correct. It looks like it's a default size of 0.4, 0.5, 0.4. Yeah, this was just me trying to so do the groups get ungrouped? Let me see, in this decorate level. Prefab, what's going on with entities add. Entities are their property. A group. Oh. Yeah. So Chad is saying it could be an order of events where the gen infos are being placed before we start unboxing or unpacking the groups, ungrouping the groups. So yeah. So it basically. Level. I don't think it knows. The level doesn't seem to know about prefabs, but I think decorate. Oh, it's called by load from editor, which I think is what I'm doing. Hey Javier. Yeah, I think something where prefab. Let's see when prefab inits versus when these the decoration stuff starts happening. Oh, go back here, F9. Yeah, and then it hits this. Where's my call stack at? So it looks like, yeah, it's knitting all the drawables here. But the wall painter, the stream is going good. Just working on some of the new dungeon stuff. Also, I've been working on tweaking how the gen info objects for walls work, so I can try to get maybe a little bit more mileage out of it. The load from editor. So yeah, so the decorate level. Yeah, so if I move decorate level after init, would that have the correct behavior? Let me just try prototyping that real quick. Let me just move that down, then run. And this may have weird side effecty stuff going. I'm just seeing, just trying it out. Levels, test, load. Oh yeah. That's an excellent point. Yeah, so actually nothing will probably happen because they're not being knitted. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, but I don't want to re-knit stuff. I don't think that just seems bad. I don't want to call it knit twice. And it's a no op. Wait, no, it's not no op. It's is loaded, not initted. This is super init. Yeah. So yep, that seems like a fine thing. So chat is suggesting that this decorate level method returns a list of entities that we just need to march through and init real quick. So let's see, decorate level. Yeah, this is a void method, but it could return. Could just return a list of entities. Yeah, an array of entities. Cool. Yeah. Also, yeah. I think knitting them as we add them would be fine too, because then I already have this add entity method. I think this should be all the decorated objects should run through here. So then after we add it, e.init. It needs something. What parameter? Level. This. What else? Changes should be here in my GitHub. 258. Here. And source is here. Where is this called? I think I just navigate backwards, right? Source.level start. Okay. which I think is okay. Yep. See how that works. I just recompile this, build, recompile. Chad is always on me about relaunching the whole program rather than just recompiling. Let's see. Relaunch. There we go. Cool. Except for they don't have collision volumes now. Oh boy. They're getting rendered. Hmm. Not worry about that. That was just seeing the order of operations. If I hit play, these things should be knitting. There's something else I'm missing. Or is that 258? This just marches through and knits them. Maybe this static spatial hash that might be needed for collision. Maybe. Okay. Yes, there we go. Yeah, so we just needed to. So a hash map is the static spatial hash is a hash map, which is a way of looking up, or it's a way of storing things. Like arrays are sequential. Hashes are not. Hashes are based off keys, and a spatial hash uses location as a way to store objects. You'll see things like quad trees or octrees are data structures that are basically hash maps. Because basically what you want is you want to quickly say, for this position, give me all the objects that are in like nearby, and that's what they're used for. And yeah, this is also problematic, but it works. So I could block that off. Or I was also thinking about adding a non, like I could technically make a group that is a mesh. So I could do like a mesh, like misc mesh, then go well, not a well. I want my test alcove. What I could do, well, and then what I could do is group that with a entity, which is a area, which is a spawn blocker. The spawn blocker is 0.5 by 0.5 by 1 point. And then what I could do is I could set this on top, yeah, like that, such that this group should prevent stuff like that from happening. Yeah. because this whole volume should be taken into account then. Which might be nice. That way, I mean, again, it'd also be nice to have it check collision on the level itself, so that way, like, because adding that's like adding this spawn blocker would prevent one of those from spawning. Let me try to get it. Yeah, so the spawn blocker will allow one of these to spawn, but the other one shouldn't be able to spawn. But there's nothing saying that, oh, you are all like, you block the entire hallway, don't spawn. So that might be a nice improvement to work on. Chad, if you're still listening, I'm curious, how do we check intersection versus level geometry? Yeah, let me try this out real quick too. Let me just try grouping these together and then making that my group. And the room generation code has a concept of open space around the entity that does that. Ah, okay, cool. Yeah, I guess we have room builders, which are kind of doing a similar thing as the gen infos, but at a way more grand. Well, it does a similar thing, but a little different. So this is already grouped to JSON. Let's grab this. I just want to grab the spawn blocker, and then I can wrap that up in a group. Maybe. So let's go back to our, so this, I want this just right now, it's just spawning a model. What I want it to do is spawn a group. So do this, let's paste that one there. There needs to be a comma separating the two entities. Let me delete the trailing comma. It needs to have this. It needs to have a group wrapping it. So class group entities. Entities is a list. Should be something like that, and that, I believe, should do it. Let's see. Okay. Give this a shot. Oh, and I goofed up the rotation again somehow. Yeah, so the collision volume is correct, but the model orientation is not. Might just fiddle with rotation until it looks right. A little off the wall, which is, maybe I goofed something else up. And there's no. Yeah, so obviously my hand editing of this group did not work like I thought it would. But I think the spawn blocker thing is working like I want it to. Maybe. Oh. Let me just try. Let me undo those changes I made, but let me just try placing a actual group that I get directly out of the editor, not one I've hand edited. That should restore previous behavior. walls. Let's take a look at so the chest is the room generation code as a concept of open space. Let's take a look at that real quick. I think they are room builder generator. Cool. Let's take a look. Mix room, decorate room. Decorate room sounds like a candidate I'm interested in, maybe. Let me see. Walls, floors. That's a concept. Space. Level decorate wall width. Wall prefab. Free space around wall. Interesting. So, okay, grabs the tiles around the wall. The new 2D vector for x, start x, end x, y, start y, end y. What are start y, end y? Looks like, wow, five units in every direction. Is that right? Yeah, looks like it does. So it could be a 10 by 10 space we're checking here. Get tile solid, floor height not equal to check floor height, int free. The math here is we're setting this vector, the xy coord where we're at, and we're subtracting the start location. We're taking the length of that minus 1. So get out my pen and paper and see if I can figure out what's going on here. Big A4, perfect. Brush. Okay, so the algorithm. Checking a big square and find the closest collision point is. Yeah. So that's what I think it's doing, right? So it starts at -5, goes to +5, +5. So we have this grid. Come on, shift. Cheat. Oh. So this is the tile C that we're looking at. We start at, say, -5, -5, and we're going all the way up to +5, +5. Yeah. And it looks like, so yeah, so what I think, so yeah, that's exactly what Chad's doing. So he says basically, so for each of these points, we consider if it's solid or not. If this is solid, we look at this distance here. So let's call this A, vector C, So he's taking the magnitude of A minus C, and he's finding basically just the min of all of these tiles. Yeah, so he's just saying, considering in a 5x5, find the closest one, and that is how much free space you have. So basically, if, let's say this one is solid here, we'd find this distance, and I guess we'd say something like your distance is this radius here. So that would be the amount of room you have, which is interesting. Yeah, I think that's a decent way to do it. But against walls is, so this takes into account walls. So I guess if you're up against a wall, your free space is always going to be 1. Right? Because in our case, uh, this wall here is always solid, right? Oh, okay. So Chad's saying if it's against the wall, so we're against this wall here. It's not going to look in this direction. It's going to look outward. Okay, cool. That makes sense. Thank you, Chad. Appreciate that. So yeah, so this might be something I can leverage to see how much free space there is. That way we could place cool stuff. That might be something I do off stream, but it is cool to know that is there for me to poke around with. Cool. Yeah, because right now just obnoxiously slamming these everywhere is kind of eh. So I need to figure out. Is this something I'm really going to do? Do I really like how this looks? I can make it, I mean, obviously making it way more like unlikely is probably cooler, especially if there's stuff inside there, like something to look at. Let me just do some art real quick. Maybe we could just do some end on that, maybe. Yeah, no, like I like math and I like drawing, so yeah, that's handy. It's a good thing. If you guys are lucky, I'll do 3D. I can do 3D math in Blender too, which is fun. Because yeah, you can do fun stuff in here as well. I think you can do stuff like, again, Shift A, add an empty, just a single arrow, right? And then you can do crazy stuff like, let's learn about vector addition. Right? You know, A plus B equals C. Ha ha ha. You know, like this is just. I mean, it would, like, I guess if in like it's nice to see stuff visualized like this sometimes, because this is vector A, vector B. If you add them together, you get a vector that goes from, you know, the tail of one to the tip of the other. Yep. Math is cool. Okay. So again, let's take a look at this. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to dissolve some of these edges. I think these should be fine. Just to get it a little bit lower poly, because I don't need that much resolution. So that's probably fine. Let me just also, I could probably just slam this again right in the middle of the this texture here, just to get a feel in. This is by no means the final texture, but it's closer than what I have, and maybe that helps me visualize a little bit better. Let me just go File, Export again, OBJ, Test Alcove, Export. Can't remember if these will pick up or not. refresh. Yeah, there we go. Which is, they're kind of okay. Maybe again, these arch doors, I wasn't feeling it very first either. So like, yeah, I guess sometimes it takes me a little bit of working on them and living with them before I figure out if I like them or not. But I think it's okay. They may be sticking out too much. But if I want to put something in the center, I got to leave myself room to fiddle. It's heading in an interesting direction. Yeah, maybe using that method Chad was talking or had implemented, I can make sure that stuff like when it gets butted up against a wall, maybe I could say if it needs more room than that, that would be nice. Yeah, that might be a cool thing to do. So yeah, I'll probably implement that off stream. Yeah, so basically I'm still trying to figure out ways just to make the level build itself. Kirby says, what about calculating the path of an entity that has a certain forward speed and is rotating? Interesting. That sounds like you're getting into like differential equations. I'm fine with vector algebra, all that good stuff. That's pretty basic stuff. The other stuff, like vector algebra, linear algebra, no big deal. Diffie-Q, I'm definitely going to have to get out my textbooks and start reading again. I'm pretty sure I took it. I can't say that I really liked it very much, but I could do it at the end of the day. Cool. Well, and so let me punch a hole in here. Let me just quick and dirty. Let's like these face. And let's inset it. This is what it would kind of look like. Actually, let me just simulate. It would be something like it should be 4 units maybe. I think 8 would be way too many. 4. Pretty small. That's maybe the smallest I'd want to go. Okay. Here from the side view, let's move this back there. Okay, let me delete those faces. Grab this edge, these edges, then down here. Let me turn on my snaps to vertex, snap it down there. I think I have a stray face on the bottom for that. Cool. Might be too far back, but again, I'm just trying to feel things out. Also might be, the inset might be too much of an inset. Or it might be too, I think it's too thin now that I'm looking at it. I try going 8. Let's see, 1, 2. Should be one more over. It's not gonna leave a lot of room to breathe, but just manually tapping a transform there. Sometimes if I already know how far I want to move something, it's easier for me just to type it in. I've had folks ask me questions about stuff like that in the past. In Blender, you can just hit the G key and you can just type in values like GZ minus 0.5. Nope. Minus 0.5. Minus 0.25? There we go. We should be right. Yeah, not quite. Let's snap it. The inset was not precise, so I was gonna have to live with that. Looks like I borked up my UVs somehow though. real quick too. Let me just grab this. Let me just select all, scale it to 0. We just drop it on a dark spot. So we just have a something like that should be fine. Yeah, this is just trying to just do a work fast and not worry too much about it. Also do the same thing with the outside. Select all the outside stuff. Select all here. Scale it down to 0. Just drop it somewhere, maybe in the gray or purple. Oh, purple is fine. Oh, not beautiful, but it should work. BJ, Estalco, export. Hey Chris, how are you, sir? I haven't heard from you in a while. Hopefully things are going well for you down in New Zealand. It's starting to look a little bit better-ish. Yeah, I'm still thinking it's probably too thick. Let me try flattening it out a little bit and see how that looks. I just want to maintain a certain level of chunkiness, though, is my concern. Yeah, no worries, Chris. I understand. You know, you have a job and a wife, and I think you're still at university, right? So you are probably a very busy guy. New Zealand is wintry. Do you have a proper winter down there? You graduated, excellent. This is gonna be way shallow. Let's try it. There we go. So the collision's not updated. I can do that real quick, I suppose. Should be on this info. Half of that is 0.625. The working in powers of 2 is nice, so I can just memorize these values. It's okay. It's subtle. I mean, now I'm worried about the. I mean, I'm definitely going to need to put something there to make it contrast, to actually make it pop out and look interesting. Again, these are just gross gray box assets. Again, this may not stick either. I may go with some other architecture element that makes it look interesting. Rainy and cold and no snow. Yeah, it's up here in Seattle. It's still a little rainy, but we've been getting more sunshine than we have lately, or we've been getting more sunshine. Try to think relative time. It's springtime here. It's getting nicer. I guess conversely, it's getting probably less nice where you're at. Blown out, but that's probably because it's slammed in between 2 torches, which is just going to happen. Again, not loving it. Maybe just because there's just maybe bigger. These elements are pretty big. We do have some old architecture meshes. We have this large column, which the pixel ratio is all messed up on, but we do something like have these occasionally pop in, or something similar. It almost looks like those things are holding up the rafters. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. I guess that means my rafters are off on that one. Yeah, again, I just because they're so low detail, they're like basically half the text pixel ratio they should be. We have other architecture meshes. We have like small wide column. And I don't think I'm going to get rid of this stuff. I think I'm just going to leave this stuff in Delver so people who are building with it can still use it. I'm just going to create new stuff for the new dungeon area. I don't really want to take away per se because I know folks are pretty attached to this stuff. It's just like this top and this bottom like parts of this column don't really work. I don't think very well because they're just so like they're only 4 pixels tall, which doesn't allow me to have a lot of detail. So that's why I'm trying to stick with a larger like min detail size on my assets I'm building now. Like 4 is probably the definite smallest I'd go, and it doesn't really look super interesting here either. Also, I probably need to pull in more of this metal to it because the black does give a nice contrast to things. So maybe some metal pillars would be cool, or maybe adding like metal trim to them or something. Okay, let's go over to here. I don't want to give up on this quite yet, but I'm still not super feeling it. What if I edge the edge loops? Let's just dissolve them. Flatten this back out. Something weird happened. Oh. There we go. Yeah, metal pillars look cool. Yeah, I agree. I think that it's a nice contrasting element that I like. I think would work. I thought about even trying to maybe put that on the door a little bit, like I was playing around with here. Maybe having like some metal pieces on the door. Go. Maybe, or maybe have a. I'm also thinking about maybe something like that. Maybe I'm also thinking about having a an alt mesh texture as well, so they can all kind of pick between 2 different mesh textures. That may work. Right now, there's too much repetition on that, but that's easily fixed. Do it quick and dirty, and I can always fix it later. Yeah. Or maybe have the metal on the outside part. I don't know. I just like just like how it breaks up the way it looks. Oh, hey, Frankie Pixel Show. So for those of you who don't know, Frankie Pixel Show is a super talented pixel artist. If I remember correctly, you are doing the art for Charles Barkley Shut Up and Jam 2, right? And you also are making this really cool weekend RPG that has the most fantastic monster designs. Yeah, here, let me play Delver for folks if you've never seen Delver before. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, man. I'm a fan of your work. All right, let me start a new game. Cool, yeah, so this is Delver. It's a procedural dungeon crawler with fantasy, roguelike, and first-person shooter elements. This is the starting area when you start off a new run. This is the camp. There are folks here you can talk to. Shops if you want to shop. Lore if you want to lore. I'm going to steal his candle. That's a thing to do. And let's go into the dungeon. There's not really much of a horror tinge to it. Oop. Oh goodness, the let me turn that off real quick. Let me quit. Let me in this info.dat. Let me chop this chunk out. Otherwise, it's gonna make my life hard. Oh, hey, Pertep. Yep. Trying to think. Eldritch is a procedural first-person shooter thingy that's kind of horror themed. It's kind of a Lovecrafty theme. With this, I'm trying to keep it a pretty light fantasy theme. Try to keep it pretty. Yeah, no worries, man. Ooh, paralyzed wand. Yeah, you. So the floors are procedurally generated. All the stuff you find also procedurally generated. So my efforts on this current update or development sprint, how you want to look at it, is to replace this whole first part of the dungeon. We built this first part of the dungeon when we first started working on the project, because I guess I guess we started just building things in chronological order. So this is also the oldest area of the dungeon, so it looks the worst. Basically, a lot of it is just room hall design. Like the longer we've worked on this project, we've gotten better at making stuff for it, and we have more systems for making stuff for it. So let me just drop down a few levels. The caves, I think the caves are a little bit better. They feel way more different than the dungeon did as far as like how the rooms are designed. Of course, you have different enemies. Yeah, I keep feeling that the enemy density in the caves might need tweaked. But folks may disagree with me. Ooh, another fire wand. The fire wands are kind of like a mix between a rocket launcher and a grenade launcher, where the projectile has gravity to it, so it drops a little bit. I just called this lift. I think I can run over here and jump on it early, maybe. Ah, there we go. There is no jumping. You can do, I guess, what is called doom jumping, where if you're running fast enough, you can usually you can kind of cross a 1-unit gap. Thanks, man. Yeah, we're trying to mix 2D and 3D in a fairly oh man, I got torn up, but in a fairly meaningful way. Typically, a lot of the stuff you can interact with tends to be 2D. So a lot of the enemies, the items, but there are some 3D things you can interact with. We have systems too where like you can like attack potions to do like an area of effect attack. That was a healing potion apparently. Yeah, so I'm the art guy for it, but there's only two of us working on this project, and we do it in our free time. Um, so I guess I'm in between jobs, so I'm working on it more than not. But yeah, so we try to make as much as we can in as little time as we have. But it's fun. We wear a lot of hats because we are just two people working on it. Yeah, no. So there is no overlapping level geo. It is 2D. So basically, like when you first popped into the stream, I was in the editor. So we give you the room editor. Um, and each room is a 17 by 17 tile, and you can really kind of quickly just kind of start blocking stuff out by making selections and either carving or filling them. And then you can go in and make further selections, and you can raise the ceiling or lower the floor. You can also there's a texture picker, so you can change what the walls look like. If I wanted to make like the temple stuff, I can choose like a temple wall, temple floor, stuff like that. And you can also do you can do angles if you want, so you can grab like an edge and you can pull down an edge. One of my favorite tricks is to grab several of these, pull them down as an edge, and then you can flatten them out to make a quick little stairway. So we have we've written our own engine and we've written our own tools. So for better for worse, they basically help us make the game that we're making. So nothing's for free, but everything does exactly what we want. You place these markers, which just tell the engine to spawn in stuff. Or you can also manually place stuff too. Like you can place in a tree if you're so inclined. Yeah. So how the dungeon is built. So if we look over here, in this generator folder are a series of folders called Cave, Cold, Dungeon, Outdoor, Start, Camp, Test, Undead. These represent themes, and each theme can define. So for like dungeon, if you look at the section, the dungeon theme defines that it's first in the sort order, so it comes right after the camp. It has 2 floors. These are the potential templates to use to create dungeon floor, or the floors for this particular area. You can have multiple, which I plan on making use of before we finally ship. And also at the end of each set of floors, you can have a transition level, which can be a special thing. Typically, we make these like little shop areas or little story beats that are always like hand built. Cool. Yeah, we do have an Android build. It is pretty old. We've been focusing on getting so we're focusing on finishing up the game. So our efforts mostly are on the Steam build and getting updates. Usually once a quarter is what tends to be a good time for us. Mostly again because we work in our free time. Like if we released weekly, there wouldn't be many changes. So it's good to batch up some significant changes. And just the mobile versions will probably get updated once we actually finish the game. I keep telling folks that we're finishing the game this year, so I'm going to do my best to stick to that. I'm trying to get stuff done. I'm also doing a little bit of project management, trying to get this stuff like organized and have an idea of what each update contains. And it's been working out okay since I started that. It definitely keeps us more honest. Frankie says, reminds me when I doodled around with some Doom Wad editors are really cool. Yeah. Yeah, creating. I think I have one, right? Let me. Yeah, I should. Blade. Yes. So similarly, they are. You can edit Doom maps pretty darn easy. Okay, where you can just grab these are line defs. You can flip over to maybe where are my vertex. You can just start clicking to create new rooms in Doom pretty easy, and boom, you got a new room, which is craziness. Let me see if I can navigate to that. Where did I create that new room at? Here. So can I place the camera here? Yeah, there we go. And yeah, Ari, that's how quick it is to make a room in Doom, which is super cool. Like it's so easy. So yeah, our editor tries, like we give up we give up some like fidelity for like just a ease of use. Oh yeah, like modern Doom maps are insane. I try to keep my eye on like the Doom and the Quake communities because that's what I kind of grew up on, and that's why I got into game dev, was just modding in general. But I'm not super active in them anymore, or I guess I've always been kind of a lurker. Yeah. Slade is an older one. I think people use Doom Builder these days. I think that's the one. I'm not sure. I might be showing my age. um, yeah. Levels, test, new dungeon theme, load. So this is the stuff I'm playing around with. Yeah, those panels are kind of okay, but they're just kind of just thrown out there. Let me do that real quick. Let me just delete that layer and save. Then let me just refresh the data. There we go. And these also, I think these arches can be potentially used by themselves. I'm not sure quite what for, but it would be. Yeah, trench room is very cool. It's a little bit harder to grasp. Let me pull up. I have which one of my test maps here. Okay. That's not it. That was me goofing around with trying to write an exporter from Blender. Let me do a different one. Test map 0? Or did I not double click it? Yeah, here was me goofing around in Quake trying to make something. But yeah, trench room is cool. I think it's interesting where you can just you can quickly drag out like geo. You I think it's you can just really fast. You can, by holding the shift key, you can kind of just move your mouse around and it'll highlight what face you want to move, and you can just quickly like move faces and stuff, which is super useful. Yeah, and creating new brushwork is pretty darn easy. And I prefer working in a in a 3D view. That just tends to be my my way of thinking. I think it also supports. I think you can somewhere you can toggle where you get like a more a split view if you really want. Yeah, no, yeah, like I like editors. They're kind of cool. So I like to try to see what other folks are doing for different engines to see if there are good ideas that we could I guess steal and use for Delver. Yeah, so that's something I always try to keep a pulse on, even if I'm not actively making content. I really should, but again, I only have so much free time. So Pertub Gap says, please recap the last 1.5 months of development. So we did release an update recently. Our last update we released at the beginning of April, I think, update number 14. Let me fact check myself. I think that sounds right. Delver. Update 14, yeah, the beginning of April. We added Steam Workshop support. So Delver for years now has actually supported modding, but now we actually support like Workshop. So you can actually go to the Workshop, and we have really kind of cool, crazy mods out here. Javier's weapon expansion pack is still awesome. I think he adds like 48 some odd weapons, which is really cool. Crazy like bone weapons and weapons people want, and weapons I don't really like. I'm more focused on getting the game, like, I don't know, like weapons right now aren't my top focus, so it's cool to see him work on that. Chad has a really cool overworld mod that adds this huge kind of unlimited overworld to play around with. There's a total conversion. There's all kinds of cool mods out now that you just like if you wanted to install Hyperlight Delver, you can just click subscribe and then boom, it's already installed and working for you. And you can comment and do all kinds of crazy stuff like with the typical workshop support. But that's the also we threw in some bug fixes, but that was the biggest change that happened in the last month and a half of development. Now the next one is just refreshing this dungeon area to make it look beautiful again. Chris says the overworld is Delverfall. I don't know about that per se, but I'm sure an ambitious modder could do some interesting stuff with it. Yeah, so typically what I've been doing is like I will kind of bounce back and forth between like making like I'll make some textures for the level geo, and then I'll build some level chunks out of that, and then I'll make props that kind of support that, and then I kind of just iterate through that. I can't really, maybe I'm not good enough at planning up ahead all the props I will need, so I kind of just work in that way of determining like what looks good and what I need, and then just kind of working back and forth between like level textures and props and prop textures and stuff like that. Cool. Well, it's 4 o'clock and I need to go pick up my kid from daycare here in probably 10 minutes. So I think I'm going to call it a stream here in a few, unless there are any final questions. I might just play a little bit of Delver and call it good. Let me just launch Delver and play my way out. Cool, yeah. We love the 90s first person shooters, so Hexen, Heretic, definitely my jam. So let's see how well this run goes. See how far I can get in 10 minutes. Let me see if I can just kind of dive real quick. Not worry too much about completing each level. Pretty dark. I should have brought that candle. Slide. You can, depending upon if you do, if you just tap or you hold down the attack, you can kind of modulate your attacks. So if you want to do quick attacks but less damage, you can just tap it. If you want to do more damage, you hold it down. Generally, the damage range that the weapons have, that's the range. It's kind of represented by either tapping or holding down the attack. It should be. Last time I looked at the code for that. Yeah. Strafe did come out on the 9th. I did a little bit of work on Strafe. I made some. Ouch! I set myself on fire. No, I didn't. So I made a secret area for Strafe that I'm pretty sure nobody yet has found. Pretty sure. I can't even find it, and I know where to look, and I can't find it. I guess fortunately for me, I was just a contract artist on that project, so I didn't have to worry too much, because releasing anything is hard, especially if it's your first thing. It's going to be a tough experience. I think I tried to do I was trying to do just a small preview of it, and I don't think my laptop here is actually powerful enough to both stream and play Strafe. I finally pulled the trigger, and I'm actually getting a new desktop machine, so I can actually play modern games. My laptop is great, but it is not super beefy. I saw that coming and I didn't stop. Yeah, Frankie, you've released quite a few things, haven't you? At least smaller projects. But yeah, man, like starting projects is so easy and you're so in love with it, but actually sticking with something all the way to the end is it becomes like a relationship, you know, like it's very trying. Unfortunately for me, like Chad has been super chill to work with. Like when I've had like when my wife and I had my son, he was really cool with me taking time to be with my family, which I definitely appreciate. Nope, nope. Ooh, fine quarterstaff. That looks like one of Testacoil's weapons. I might have community mod content installed. Apparently I do. I think lately when I've been going to developer meetups and I'm showing off Delver, I make sure to include community content because I think the stuff that you folks make is so rad. I'm very proud to show it off. I probably should turn it off when I'm developing so I don't know. Just to make sure that I have a baseline that's just vanilla Delver. Yeah. So Frankie makes a very good point. It's yeah. It's really hard to tell if something is done or to tell when it's good enough. Or even if you should do it in the first place. Yeah, those are all hard questions. Because there are a million things you could spend your time on. It's just trying to choose the few things that you think are worth it. Brighten up my life a little bit. And especially like on smaller projects, like you have, I guess, way more ownership, which is good, but also it can be, you know, really like nerve-wracking because like if the project isn't a success, there's nobody to blame but you, which kind of is is like a crappy feeling. But because like with big teams, you can kind of, I guess, share the blame more. Maybe this thought isn't coming out correct. I guess I'm just saying maybe when I worked big corporate jobs, like I didn't like I wasn't as emotionally invested into what I was making. Whip, cool. Bird of Gap says, any question? Apologies for repeating myself. When are we going to see an extension to the cold era? I don't know. When I made it, I told myself that future Joshua would solve that problem, and I'm not sure if I'm future Joshua yet or not. It all depends on time, to be honest with you. It would be cool to put something back there. I'm just not quite sure if and when. Yeah. Definitely. Ultimate Underworld is a huge influence. I haven't, unfortunately, I've never played it. I've watched a few Let's Plays of it. I just like the look, and it is one of the very first like 3D games, one of the first 3D dungeon crawlers that I can think of. Yeah, some places in this area are just too dark. Gotcha. Yeah. So cutting in there in chat is he is the guy who came up with Delver. He's the original creator and lead developer and business guy and whatever I'm not, he is. Yeah. So I made it to the caves. That's not so bad. Oh, spider sneaking up on me. Spiders move fast enough, they always leave a little trail of dust, which is helpful in seeing them. Because otherwise they're pretty spooky. Ooh, Javier's axe. Chopping time. I don't even know if it's better. I'm just going to use it because it's cool. Yeah, it's not doing a lot of damage. I think I also have the Dark Souls Rings mod installed too, so that's what I'm finding. I can't remember the name of the modder who put that in. Maybe Marius? Marksali? I can't remember which one of the two did that. I'm on fire. Beer? Oh, I guess, yeah, I set the enemies on fire because I'm on fire, but he killed me. Okay, I think this is a good place for me to say goodbye, go get my kiddo, and start my weekends. But I will be back this Sunday. This has been a bonus stream. Bonus streams happen kind of whenever I have time, but every Sunday I stream from noon to 2 usually. I'm in the Pacific time zone. I live out near Seattle, so that's kind of noon Pacific. Let me think. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter at Joshua Skelly. You can follow Delver at Delver Game. I believe Cuttigan is at Cuttigan. Yeah, it's been really cool. It's just been a fun bonus stream. I really appreciate everybody stopping by to check it out. I think, Frankie, do you still do your Friday Pixel streams? That would be later today, right? Anyways, yeah, thanks everybody for buying Delver. That directly financially supports me. Thank you for watching me stream. It's a good motivating, it's a good motivator, and it helps keep me on task. Let me think. That's it. I will see you guys in a couple days. Have a good weekend.